Let me start out by saying that I am not here to judge autism. I'm not saying autism is a good thing or a bad thing. In lots of cases, it's a superpower that also comes with a curse. Maybe that's why so many autistic people are obsessed with superheroes. But I digress. What I'm here to talk about is representation and how important representation is for everyone, including and especially autistics. Now, in some cases, the representation is negative and problematic. But even if the representation itself is bad, it can create a discussion, which is a good thing. As they say, there's no such thing as bad advertising. All press is good press, even when it's negative, because you can always spin it into something positive or use it to point out the negative. I'm kind of getting off topic here. What I want to do is talk about a few different characters who are autistic, or at least autistic coded. What do I mean by that? Unless the author has come out and said this character is autistic, we can never be 100% certain. But to say a character is autistic coded, that's entirely based on how they were presented. Disney is famous for gay coded characters. Just think of Hades. Literally flaming. In other words, we are here to discuss both the good and the bad. Because with all things, there is good and bad. Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. I'm so glad you've joined us on this journey. If you're new here, please remember to like and subscribe. Quick introduction, my name is Danon, and I have ADHD. I know that is not the same as autism, but if you take a look at the symptoms of ADHD and put it next to the symptoms of autism, the Venn diagram has a lot of overlap. So I guess what I should say is that we're not so much looking at autistic-specific characters, so much as looking at neurodivergent characters. But no one ever searches for neurodivergence on Google or YouTube, so I figured if I labeled the video Autism in Anime, more people would click on it and watch it. Ha! You're trapped. Enjoy the video. Before we get into specific examples, I feel it's important to remind everyone that autism is a spectrum, and that means there are several traits that are considered autistic. Having one of them doesn't necessarily mean you're autistic, but having several probably means you are. Among the traits are social issues, difficulty understanding social cues, challenges with relationships, communication differences, and difficulty maintaining eye contact. They may also have restricted or repetitive behaviors, such as a strong need for routine, intense or focused interests, repetitive movements, or sensory sensitivities. There also may be other symptoms, like anxiety, literal thinking, difficulty managing tasks, making decisions, inability to handle a change in routine, or copying the traits of others to avoid standing out, also known as masking. Now, as I stated earlier, if a character does one or two of these things, that character probably isn't autistic. But I did find a few examples of characters who fit several. Of course, the one that everyone thinks of is Bocce, the titular character from Bocce the Rock. Not only does she have some of the worst social anxiety we've ever seen, she also has a deep obsession. Specifically, guitar, to the point that it hindered her social growth. Additionally, Bocce shuts down every time there's a change in her routine. If that isn't peak autism coded, I'm not sure what is. Of course, she's not the only one on this list. One of the biggest problems autistic people, and especially children, struggle with is making genuine connections with other human beings. They're never sure if someone's being nice to them or if they want to be friends. They also have trouble recognizing social cues. They may misinterpret when someone is scared of them as opposed to worshiping them. Sometimes they can get so overwhelmed they simply freeze up. If they're lucky, their frozen face is the object of worship. If not, they think they look like a puddle. See the previous entrant on our list. Now, here's where we get into a delicate subject, so please bear with me. Sometimes characters are initially thought to be autistic, but are actually trauma-coded. And as the series progresses and our characters heal through their trauma, it can seem like their autism is cured. To be clear, there is nothing wrong with being autistic. The world just doesn't know how to handle you because it is stupid. The cure for autism is learning how to use your special skills and then excel in a society that would rather you didn't exist. At the same time, there is trauma that comes from simply being autistic in a world that doesn't know how to deal with you. Overcoming that trauma is also important, which is what we see in Comey. As she learns how to communicate and show others that she's not that different than they are, she begins the long journey of healing and overcoming her trauma. Momose Akira, the titular character from Momose Akira's first love struggles, appears to be a cool high school girl who has all of her ducks in a row. That is the image she tries hard to maintain. In reality, she doesn't have ducks, she has squirrels, and they are chaotic. Unless, of course, she has a plan and sticks to the plan. Until the plan goes off the rails, and she is left frozen. Now, I used to say that Momose was OCD coded, but the more I learned about autism and the symptoms on the spectrum, the more I'm inclined to think she's autism coded instead. She creates a plan, follows the plan, and everything is fine. Her mask stays up. But the second her carefully mapped out plan derails, or worse, successfully concludes, she's lost. She has no idea what to do. So she either runs away or freezes in place, like a deer in the headlights. I especially love how this continues throughout the manga. No matter how close she gets to Hajime, she still freaks out if her world goes off script. Of course, it doesn't help that he's a bit of an idiot. But hopefully things will work out soon for our main characters. While she may not specifically be autistic, there are lots of aspects of Anya's character that autistic people identify with. When Anya is in a crowd, the noise is often overwhelming, to the point that her brain shuts down. She struggles to express ideas, especially to adults. While it may make complete sense in her head, she's unable to translate the idea from her brain into words, causing confusion and tension in her relationships. Anya also schedules her entire life around her favorite show, Spy Wars. She has her penguin doll and chimera doll she takes everywhere. Finally, and this one is most telling, she almost always interprets instructions literally. Nuance goes right over her head. Now, some of Anya's behavior could be because she is young, which is fair. Spy Family implies that she is extremely young and that she lied about her age so she could join Lloyd on his mission. While a year or two might not seem much to adults, the difference in cognitive and physical development between a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old is huge. But regardless if Anya is autistic or not, she's a fun and awkward character who must be protected at all costs. Okay, I'm about to catch all the flack in the world from the old heads on my channel. I've never watched either K-On! Or Azumanga Daioh. To be fair, music anime doesn't really interest me, and I didn't enjoy slice of life anime when K-On! Aired. As far as Azumanga Daioh is concerned, I feel like I've already seen most of it thanks to AMV Hell. That being said, when doing research on this video, both Yui from K-On! And like half the characters from Azumanga Daioh were mentioned. But it would be unfair for me to talk about them when I haven't seen either series. But that does bring us to the main reason I wanted to do this video. Monica Everett has so much social anxiety that she broke the laws of magic and invented silent casting. Since time immemorial, chance and magic go hand in hand. You speak the words of power in a specific order to craft the spell while channeling mana to enact change on the world. But Monica figured out how to do it without speaking, which is good because she is an anxious little mess who struggles to string words together. Except when she's talking about numbers. This is what makes me think she's autistic, or at least autistic coded. Numbers are Monica's safe space. They are what she focuses on. I suppose I should explain that. There was a book written a few years ago called On Looking. The author took 11 different people on the same walk, and all of them were experts in a specific field. During the author's walk with a geologist, she started thinking about the volcanic formations of Ireland. During the walk with the 19-month-old, the whole world is a place of wonder. But as we spend time with Monica Everett, the titular witch, we start to notice numbers and patterns. Math is the language of the universe, and it tells a story to those who can read it. Monica recognized the prince due to the way his body moved according to the ratio of his torso to his elbows. She has no problem explaining this to the student council. This is because Monica is more comfortable with numbers and equations than she is with people. For her, the world is numbers, but no one understands that. But as she lets more and more people see the world from her unique perspective, more people appreciate her and her strange little world. What about you, dear viewer? Which characters do you think are autistic, and are they a good representation or a bad one? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Drya, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alix, Borgi, Naswin, Congo, Robert Pye, Kazaris, Patrick, Tiz, Art, Richard Sent, Boomy, Osira, Justin, Golden Walker, Captain Hammer, Yori, and Sleech. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.